Hey guys, and welcome back to Extreme Paint Studio. Dave Bristow here. Um, Second part of the portrait, the girl portrait. We are now, as you can see, we've moved. We've done the eyebrow. We've done the blurred kind of out of focus on the left-hand side. We've brought more around the eye, a bit more detail, and we've made our way down to the nose. So this one. There's a bit of detail in it, a bit of texture here and there, but it's fairly simple. So enjoy this video, crack on with this one, and I'll be moving. The next one we're going to be doing is down the right hand side and moving onto the lips. So looking forward to that one. Just want to say a big thank you for all the subscribers that have joined the membership. Thank you very much. I think we had DNA Airbrush, we had Suzanne, and we had George coming on board for the last couple of days. That's fantastic support. Thank you very much. If you like the content and you're new to the channel, this is the first video you've seen, make sure you like and subscribe and have a look at the membership to help support the channel and the content that we're creating. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, so the next thing we need to worry about really is the eyebrow. Now, there's a lot of lines in it, so we can choose to airbrush it, use wires. There's a bit blurred at this back end here. But there are some single sort of hairs that we need to worry about. So I'm going to try the wires first and then see how they pan out. And we might have to stick in some little single paintbrush lines because they are very, very fine. But they're single ones. So we might have to put in a few little paintbrush lines, but let's give the wires a go. So what I'm doing is I'm just bending the wires to kind of match the curve of the eyebrow. So I'm opening it up, the wires up, and I'm kind of bending it at the same time so we get that kind of curve. But still keeping it flat. So you can see I've got my little lines in between. So I'm going to utilize that, and then I'm going to pull the end sort of together. I may even use get it out, my little wires for the smaller ones, and then this one for the curved type one. So let's see how it pans out. If we have to bring in the paintbrush, 000 paintbrush, we will. So there you go, there's my kind of curve that I want. So you can see I'm curving it like the eyebrow. And let's give it a go. So we're going to keep it within, so we're almost just basically painting a dot. And you can see I'm getting that kind of hair-like look just by going through the wires. But I want to get that curve. So I'm gonna hit in between. See that? See that? We're starting to get that eyebrow look. Turn it ever so slightly, mix it up a bit. These really do curve over the top. So you can see instantly what these wires are giving me. to elongate these a little bit further. Don't go too high. How's that for a start of an eyebrow? That's pretty good. We're going to have to bring in some blurred bits. Just looking at where the lines are. Just making sure I follow the actual line of the eyebrow. And what we'll do is we'll just mist over the top, and then we can bring in some erasing. That's very quick in creating that eyebrow. There is like almost a line. In fact, it's lower, it's actually down here, so it's sort of here. Meets up with that one there, so I can bring that in. A bit of a shadow there, and then it goes darker above it, so we can start to almost mottle that beginning bit, and then we've got a few little hairs coming out, which again are mottled. Gives a nice bit of detail. I'm just bringing some single hairs out. Now you can do those with paintbrush if you want to do those with paintbrush. As I said in the first video, doesn't all have to be airbrush. I want to actually, let's do that. Let's pull in some fine detail hairs just so you can see me do it. So look, we'll just use the fine detail paintbrush and we'll just come in and we'll just flick them out. Flick. Okay. So let's get some of these starting ones, although they're not that bright, so I've got to be careful that, sorry, that dark even, that I don't go. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to it, so we can get our shade in black. We can add a little bit of water to it, which makes them sort of grey like as opposed to black. So maybe a little bit more water. Let's get some there's a little fin. thin bit there. Just brushing these ever so lightly. Once I've got the kind of light background behind it all, sorry, there's the lighter shade of grey behind it all. Oop, went a bit heavy there. Just blur that out straight away. We can basically just lose it. Let's put some darker ones in. There we go. Look, just bring a few in. It just makes it that little bit more realistic. If we ping some up, got a bit too much paint on there, don't want to go too heavy, and I'll chuck a few good coming out of the top. Keep it thin. It's quite a big portrait anyway, so you can get away with using these or using this. Just gone for a bit more water as well, just so I can bring in these really thin ones at the bottom here. So even when they dry, they kind of dry like a thin grey as opposed to a dark black, where I've added the water to the paint. And then if I want a thicker black one, I can come in and just put a thicker black with the straight black. I don't add water to it. Okay, so let's just keep going over this way. There's a few sort of black ones in here. I can come back in with the wires if I need the wires. Let's give that a little bit of a shade underneath, especially in this area. And then as we go over here towards this hair strands, it gets very dark. So I'm going to put that line in that I see. There. And then I can see that within this area it gets really quite dark. We've got a couple of hairs there. I'm going to be coming in and doing a little bit of highlighting, just about there, yeah. Okay, so let's get in between a couple of these with the glass fibre, so we can just touch in between the hairs. I could even use an X-Acto knife if I've got one to hand. Can't see one. I'm just going to bring a couple of lines down. Just using the edge of the glass fibre, not flat, I'm using the edge. So let's create a few little gaps at the top. Back to the board almost. There's a little bit underneath there. Okay, there's a line going in there. You will never get the eyebrow exact because we're using wires. So let's mist underneath there, underneath this area here. And then what I'm going to do is these ones here are blurred. So I'm just going to bring these in. Okay. They go off sort of behind like that. And then they kind of join in with this up the top. So I'm just going to bring these in, some darker ones, and then scoot out of it. Scoot, scoot. Just like that. Come down a little bit lower with that one. And behind here it kind of goes into darkness a bit. Just have to make sure that hair goes up there. Okay, that's a good starting point for our eyebrow. Now I'm going to deal with the eyelid here. And we're going to lightly mist over this area here. As it goes up. Going to go back in with a paintbrush now, and I'm just going to do some really thin lines. So I've grabbed my shade in black and I've added some water to it, and I just want a few more of these very thin lines at the bottom coming out, or more almost a curve, and then it kind of goes off into these blurred ones. There's a thin line there I saw, may as well get that in while I'm in there. These, even though I got the blurred look to them, I'm just going to put a little very thin line through them. Okay, I want to go even thinner with that, a bit more water, because I want ones that are going to almost disappear. So if I do a line now where I've added a lot more water to it, what you'll see is that will dry and it will dry lighter. Okay, that should do us. Now, what we have got in this top of the eyelid is a few little sporadic kind of dots. So I'm just gonna very lightly get the paint going and just add a few little dots. If you have to push some back, don't worry about it. We are going to be erasing in this area, but I'm just putting some very light sort of texture, almost just by dotting. Okay, and then we can actually touch those, like that one's a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to touch it and push it back a little. There you go. Just touch them. Still remain there, but we just push them back a bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is bring in these lines in the, like we did in the eyelid, we're going to do it in above the eye. And we're just going to bring in some creases. So, skin creases. I'm going to create a bit of a wedge on my eraser. In fact, I might even just do it with a, let's try the glass fibre, see, it might be too harsh. Go very lightly. Oh, it's not too bad. We'll go with the glass fibre and we'll just pick up on almost lines in the skin. It's almost like little folds. They kind of fade out as they go up, so, and get a little bit bigger actually. So let's actually do that wedge that I was talking about. So we've got our white side of the rubber there. All I'm going to do is cut off at an angle like that, so I create a very sharp tip. So if I do that again like that, I'm creating almost like an edge to the end of it. Okay, and that will give me something where I can erase. So if I go in at this angle now, you can see I'm going to get more of a line. So we can start creating some of these lines in the artwork. We could use the glass fibre, but I think that might be a little too aggressive. As we go up, we just do a couple of like little curves here and there. And there's a few darker lines at the top, so I might come in and do a little bit of wire work as well. We can come across here and still do our lines, but just be lighter with it, so it's a little bit of an offering as opposed to really trying to go for the detail. Some of them we can hit again, so we brighten them up at the start maybe, and then push them out. And as we go up here, we get lighter and lighter until we're almost to the board. Don't wipe out your dots. and then up here it's kind of bright, so we can erase around our dots and at the start of our hair. Just get that brightness back in the top. It goes more to shading in this area because we need to shade around here yet. We can do some lines going in to our hair. There's a couple of lines coming in here, but more sort of thicker ones and softer ones, so we just don't press so hard. It's a little bit mottled as well, so little figures of 8. Okay, this bit in here has a bit of a highlight to it, so I'm just going to bring that in, and that kind of comes round the corner a little. We've got lines under here. There's a little bit of something in there. Let's get that up in there. There's a little dot there, so I'm just going to bring that in. Just add a bit more detail. A few more lines in the actual eyebrow. I'm just going to bring those out. That's it. I'm just going to put some very light dots in. I'm literally just going to do kind of like one pass and just start getting some texture in this area up here, just very lightly. This is one of our textures from our texture kit. I use this for skin pores, which I will be using a lot more down in this area and down on the cheek and around this lips area. But I'm just starting to use it up here because I can see there's like almost like an underlying skin pores thing going on. So you can see in here, if I show you on another piece of paper, let's pop that up there, and then I'll do a heavy spray so you can absolutely see what this does. So you can see it's very fine dots, but if you do it very lightly, you get almost like a skin pores. I found this many moons ago, and I use it always for my skin pores. And in the texture kit you've got 3 different size holes that this produces. So it's a great little tool for portrait work and things like stones and rocks and stuff. Okay, right, so now we've kind of done this area up here, I will come in and erase a bit more. I think what I'm going to do is start moving down the nose. So I can see from our line there that we've got, and this sort of crease here where there is actually a single hair I've missed. that needs to come out there. I'm just going to put that in. I just forgot that one and I can see it now. So I'm going to start coming down just with a mist. So we're just going to start bringing in some of this sort of shading. Goes out a little wider. There's a bit of a dot there, and then it comes in. So, and then it goes up to a little bit darker around this first eyelash. And then we've got a kind of line which I will have to shade. So I'm just going to follow that line on the mat that comes out there. And there's a load of tight sort of skin pores going on in that section. So in this area here, we'll come down a little bit lower. Sort of bend here, it kind of creeps up just underneath. Like the eye there. There is a kind of mottled, kind of highlighted area here, like a blurred area. And then it creeps across in line with almost the tip of this eyelash and goes right the way across to this area here. So I'm just going to come across the bridge of the nose there like that. Okay, and that's the lighter area. Then there's a darker area just underneath it. So it kind of fades out a bit as it goes into this highlighted area there. Okay, so we've got this little curve there. It goes into this ball-like area there, and then it kind of flicks out a little. There's a little bit darker in there. Then this bit comes down there and up to that shape. It's on the mat, the red's there, so you can see it in this area here. But we have got all kinds of stuff going on. So there's a little triangle here. Okay. Just kind of meets up with that and then goes up. A little bit of a triangle there. Then it comes around a corner and then comes down to meet this area there. So this is kind of all over the shop a bit. That really does want to come out a bit further. I'm just going to pull that out just a little bit further and still come into that. I'm going to wipe that bit out. That's it. Just emphasize that a little bit more going up. Okay, this is all in real highlight up here, so we don't really need to do a lot on that side. And what we can start to do is come under the eye now. So we've got a shadow that's under these here, bit of a shadow there, and then it's kind of skin pores like here, so out comes the skin pores again. So let's get that light mist over the skin pores. And we've got some lines to worry about here, but these lines, so you can see that line there goes up, so there you want to be creeping up in like a curve from there upwards. I'm just going to stand back for a second because it's better seeing it from a distance. Okay, so one thing it's showing me from a distance is I've gone a bit too dark up here, so I need to lighten up the top part of this. So I'm just scooting over all this area here. It could be that where I'm doing the shading, the overspray is travelling a bit. I can see the eye here has gone a bit darker than it should. So we're going to get a little bit of overspray. So we have to clean up areas, especially our highlights, to make sure they stand out. Yeah, it could be the overspray from where I was doing the skin pores. So we just need to brighten up this area. So check your values, your lights and darks, like occasionally, by standing back and just looking at the reference. Obviously you'll be using this as a reference. And just check your values are still correct. Okay, that's not too bad. So, just going to put a little bit of a highlight in here. There's like a, almost like a mottled kind of look, a blurred mottled look in that gap, which I will mist over again. This is quite bright in this area, but it's kind of mottled again, so I'm just going in with the eraser, just picking up on that edge. Just want to lose that sharp tip there. That's it. Okay, we're a bit darker in this corner here, so we can now sort of bring that to value. Now we're heading over this way. We've got a bit of a, where we done the hair, kind of sort of blur going up, and then kind of comes out and around. Underneath here is a bit darker, and then that line, as I said, that goes up, and then we're coming into sort of creases and stuff down this side, and creases that are going up that way. So I might use our skin pores in this area, but do lines in it rather than just sort of texturing. So I'm just going to bring in some dots that I see sort of within the shading. Can bring in some erasing dots. And there's a very faint sort of skin tone, skin pores in this area. So I'm just going to go over like once, twice, just in that area, just to give an indication of so I'm going just using the skin pores in lines to create almost like a and I'm going to mist it's even bigger skin pores down here. So that comes right out to sort of here. I'm just putting this bit of skin pores down the side there. Just putting extra sort of mottled bits in where I see sort of mottling. I can use our trusty old fluffy just to bring in that extra element to it. So I'm just going to start with this this side of the face now and start bringing in this blurred look. And this is all out of focus, so we want to do this from a bit of a distance. So I'm just going to go around this and give it a blurred look. Try and keep it consistent, as in the value. So it stays almost like a solid colour, but it's blurred. I'm just going to use my little finger because it's a rounded edge. It'll give me that rounded edge look. So I've still got that kind of blurred look going on. So I've moved in a little bit closer, but I calm the paint down because I don't want it to go any darker. And notice my angle is away from the bridge of this nose. Even it all out. Okay, this one wants to come down a little. Point it down. It's almost like the eyebrow's coming in. So I've come in at the wrong angle there. Okay, and this is basically the eyelashes in the background. So here it's going to be darker. That's going to be lighter. And then it runs out sort of there. And then flicks over. Okay, then this bit goes up to darkness up here. So I'm just going to use the left hand side of my finger and bounce off my finger. Because I want to keep that soft edge. Okay, and just use the outside of my finger. Yeah, you get dirty, but it is what it is. And then I'll just continue that up. That kept that edge soft. And then I can bring this down. Just down a little bit. So I just want to bring this shadow round just a little bit more, so it's as if it's curling around. Just darkening up this area. We will be going through with hair in this area anyway, but I'm just sort of getting it ready. Okay, and then I'm going to go at the top part up here. Just going to start bringing in the darker area above. Shading it first, keeping it fairly light, not going too dark where we can't erase. And then as it comes over, it gets lighter and lighter until it gets to this point where it goes into the brightness. So we can come in and just put a little mist over this area, bring that value in. And as it creeps over here, it gets darker and darker. Okay, now we've got our kind of underlying value in there. Go a little bit darker. You can see where it comes from the eyebrow as well, where it starts to get darker. And then we've got a little bit of a shadow on the forehead here. Just coming down a little. Creeps off. A little bit of a mark in the middle of our bridge of our nose, which I'll try and get rid of. And that, without creating too much of a highlight. So we've got mists everywhere now. Now this bit in here wants to be a little bit darker going up. So this is the angle really the eyebrow was going at. Okay, so I need to creep that up a little bit, which I'll do in a minute. But then we've got this line that comes around. And this edge here really wants to be bright, for one. And also not sharp. So we don't want a sharp edge there at all. So just gonna actually put a pencil line in there, which is something I didn't really want to do. So I'm just going to mottle that a little. And then this is the brightest part of the bridge of the nose. So we can come around and just clean it up a little. And what we do is we'll go around that bend. Just cleaning it up a little. And then if we have to blur it a bit again, we can do that. Yeah, I think there's a bit of a blur along that edge, so I'm not going to make it as dark. I'm just going to creep onto the skin. That's a bit sharp there, so I'm going to round that off, and I'll blur that at the same time. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, I do want to, if I can, bring this back a layer. So I'm just going to bring it up. I'm allowing the rubber just to take the paint off itself. I'm not pressing on it. I'm just allowing the rubber to take a layer off by layer. Look, it's black on the rubber. So literally layer by layer, because it is quite dark there where I went in. Okay, that's not too bad. And then I'll blur that again, especially when I come through with the hair. There's lots of hairs that are in front of all of this sort of face. So just seen another little line in our eye there. I just want to get in. Okay, this brightness does go right up there actually. I'm just going to bring out the brightness on this eye again. Touch on our highlight. Make sure that's all clean. Okay, there's a few down in this nose area here, there's a few dots, so I'm just gonna, there's a few dots in this area down here, so I'm just gonna start bringing in some tiny little dots. It's just lumps in the skin. So start bringing those in. They lead into this highlight here, so we have to get all that in. And there's some soft ones up here, so we can start bringing these in just with the soft rubber, and especially where they eat into from the light into this darker area, we just want to dot it as they're coming in. This is a bit brighter in here. I've lost the brightness there, so I'm just going to brighten that back up. Okay, I think we're getting there. Just bring a few more sort of in between that triangle. That's what was forming that triangle, was these sort of white areas. Right about here, looks like there's a hair. There's a bit of mottled there, and then there's a hair that's got a, almost, let's get it on the right one. It's very subtle. There is a little bit of a highlight in it. And there's another hair, like a blurred hair meeting up with it. Okay, we're just bringing in areas that we see sort of dots, and like here and here. Right, what I want to start doing now is just bringing in this darker shadow around the nose. Now it does look fairly sharp, but it's not sharp enough to be a shield. Okay. And again, it's got kind of skin pores in it, so I'm just going to allow that to fan out upwards. Okay, so it goes from dark into light. Okay, and then as it goes round that corner, it creeps out of the darkness. So I've kind of got a bit of a harsh pencil line for where that shape is on the map. So I'm just going to reduce the pencil line on the map. Because that will show through our shading. I can still see it, but it's very subtle now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a light mist over it where our erasing has just gone. Okay, so now I can see the shape. I can backfill it, but mottle it at the same time. Okay, and then just come down to the edge of our nose and backfill. Now what I can do is start going in with our skin pores and creating that kind of shape. So I can see we've got darker areas in here, so I'm going to take it, look at it, and then kind of build on it. A little bit less up there. Okay, it's a bit thicker there. So I'm just coming in, finding the value that I want by the amount of paint I'm letting go through the gun. Okay, we've got kind of shape going on, and then certainly down this edge you can allow that just to fan out a little. Okay, now what we can do is we can just shade over the top and gradually allow that to merge it all together. So it's a bit mottled there. I'm just going to allow the skin pores just to go out of that edge. Just a little. That's it. Just creep around it very lightly with a bit of skin pores, and then we can come in and create the shape that we want with our shading. Come down, just kind of a shape there, kind of a shape there, another one sort of there, here, and then it goes round into this sweeping shadow. And then up to there, down and up to there, bit darker here. And it's almost like a groove. Okay, now what we can do is we can just come around. I can see where this goes round to there. Okay, so now we can just start misting next to it. And we can see it kind of goes up to here. I'm looking here. Comes down and then almost drops just before it gets to that shadow there, and then around, so we can backfill that in a soft mist. I'm quite far away,
and then that kind of creeps round, leaves a bit of a highlight, and then comes in on this edge of the nostril here. So I can start bringing in this side. Trying to keep this fairly smooth. There is a little tiny bit of texture in it, but not a lot. Okay, now on top of the bridge of the nose here, it's a little bit darker. So just up to the where it joins there, and it's like that slope that goes up, it's darker here. I'm not worried about the overspray because that's white behind there, so I can erase that out. Let's get that kind of evenish tone in there. So I'll try and get it all, it's a little bit mottled, but try and keep it smoothish. And then we'll just bring that over to our second highlight, which is here. So we can just bring that over in an arc. Like that. And then backfill this bit with just a light mist. There's a few little sort of drag ups. Okay, we're getting there. There's a bit of a shadow that's causing, a hair is causing on the nose, so I'm just going to put that in. Okay, I'm going to stand back and have another look, make sure I've got my values right. Okay, yep, let's get this line going there. I've got a triangle there, triangle there. I'm just going to bring that line in and then bring a light mist over this whole area there. Okay, let's bring in the nostril, this area here. So we want to keep this blurred. So all we'll do is we'll go for the darkest area and just punch out of it. Okay, I'm just going to use a bit of the skin pores to go around this edge. And there's some skin pores in this highlighted area. There's actually some really deep skin pores. There's some lines here, but there's a lot more larger skin pores. I think this is my largest skin pores, to be honest. Might be able to find another texture that I've got that will make it a little bit larger. But this is quite a large portrait, so Might have to stick with this one for now. Maybe do some freehand. So we want to darken this area here. Keep it smooth. Okay, I think for the final part of this video, I think we'll just bring in very softly. It's almost like a reflective light on the top of the nose here. And I'm just allowing the rubber just to pick up on that edge. So we just want this a little bit brighter. And we can fan it out a bit just by doing our circles. There is a little bit more of a brightness in this corner. And as it goes round, it just lightens up a bit. There's a highlight sort of here. Again, like another light source coming in from there. And then there's a big highlight on the top of the nose here, which is going to need a lot more kind of mottled work. Like a lump there on the nose. There's one sort of here, which we need a drop shadows behind. There's a little bit of a mottled kind of thing going on here. We're just touching on little areas. But I think that's going to be us for this next video. The one after that will probably come down this side of the face and start working into the lips.